remember mentioning briefly to you guys that I was working on pull-ups at the gym. I want to say I started toward the end of February and early March. I was making some progress. I went from only being able to hang on to the bar for like 7 seconds to 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. 45 seconds was my absolute highest. That was my record. And I was trying to hang from it, actually feeling something like my biceps, not like, oh my God, my shoulders are up to my ear type of thing. It was like a pretty firm, something like this. I observed that in the past few weeks, I want to say past 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I went from having plateaued to being on the decline. I know that my primary issue is grip because I have always had trouble with that, and I genuinely feel pain on the palm of my hand anytime I try to hold on to something with all my might. To correct that, I had begun to just pick up heavy shit, like grab a 35-pound kettlebell and just grab it, hold it, and stabilize myself walking with it as much as possible. I was trying to do 2 exercises in one. However, on Monday, which was my last time actually trying it from the bar as opposed to that pull-up machine, which that one I tried the day before yesterday, I observed that I legit feel like, although I cannot hold on as long, there are days in which I can slowly do a negative. But the way I perform the negative is I'll use the pull-up machine and I'll step over the little arching beam looking thing that the machine has. And from that step, I will get on my tiptoes and then begin my pull-up when my hands are like here by the shoulders. And then I can slowly pull myself down and even hold myself for up to about 4 seconds or so, and then finish the rest. And I think that negatives, no matter the exercise, are a great way to build up to whatever it is that you're trying to do. I wanted to give you that intro so that you know about my relationship with pull-ups today. But what I really want to talk about is how last night, out of the blue, I had a flashback to my middle school years. I want to say this was in 7th grade. We had to do physicals, but it was for PE classes. And I remember that one of the exercises one had to do was you would sit on the floor. You had like this box looking thing in front of you with like a little board sticking out. And basically you're supposed to reach, and they'll take the measurement of what your reach is. Some people couldn't even make it past their knees, and I was usually not making it that far, but I could always touch my toes. I think that was the point of that test anyway. But when it came to the pull-ups, I vividly remember that only one girl in our class was able to do a few pull-ups, and she was the very tomboyish girl. So I looked at it as, okay, I guess there is a little bit of a benefit to being like that, to gravitate more toward the tomboy side type of thing, because men are always associated with strength. And although I had tomboy tendencies at the time, I was never athletic, and I definitely have never been known for my strength. But something that came out of that experience to me that now in retrospect I cannot help but think about is how in school, anytime we had those PE tests, say I could never run the mile, I could just walk it and it would take me over 20 minutes. There was never a remedial course for you to improve your physical performance. I always knew that anytime the pull-up test would come up, I was going to fail it. So what are you doing with all of us in the class, except for that one girl, to work us out, to build ourselves up to where we can either hang from the bar or at least pull ourselves up halfway, or avoid locking our elbows, which is the problem I tend to have anytime I try to perform the act of pulling up, or to help us achieve the pull-up anyway. One of my greatest frustrations and this is how I was beginning to learn that I was genuinely in a bad school district, is that I feel like your development is really not invested in. It's really not explored. I never got to run the mile. To this day, I still haven't run the mile. I don't think I could. I can probably jog it. But even then, I would have to psychologically prepare myself for that. Because although my record now is, I think I can jog for 8 minutes now, which to me is a mega achievement. I don't think I can maintain that pace for about I want to say 17 minutes it might take me. I feel like every time I do a little bit of jogging and normal walking, I feel like it takes me around 17-ish minutes to complete a mile, as opposed to walking at my normal pace, which would take me about 24-ish minutes. I feel like if I did a blend of genuine speed walking with jogging, maybe I could get it done in 13 minutes. I think the record of the fastest mile I have ever completed was about 13 minutes. And I feel like that's what I did. I did a little bit, whatever my little bit at the time was, jogging, then rested, but I would rest while speed walking. And then I would continue to bring my pace up until I was jogging again and try to hold that for about 2 minutes and then go back to walking. And each time, of course, my rest period needed to be a little longer. But at least I was trying something. In school, there was absolutely never an attempt or an effort at all to teach you how to train your stupid body. I have learned more about my physique through the past 9 years of me going to the gym, and some trial and error and some developing injuries and shit than I ever did in school. And it's really disappointing and frustrating that one could have a great opportunity in school, but I just vividly remember that I feel my teachers, depending on who you got, they really didn't encourage any of that. They really didn't coach you or do any of that. It was like you weren't really supervised or observed on your form. Let it be for stretching, for throwing a basketball, nothing. You just went out there as if it were a playground. And mind you, at least back when I was in school, phones were not what they are today, to where people are just massively distracted. I genuinely do not have a recollection of seeing my teachers being caught up on their phones, doing things. To that, I don't know if I should say that it was my school district genuinely being bad, or if it's a nationwide thing that these PE classes simply do not get anything done. But I do know that I'm not the only person who feels like those classes really suck. I mean, they're fun because you get to be out of the classroom and play games and things, but I'm talking about you getting education on how to actually build up your body. If we're learning about how protein builds muscle, then we learn the theory of it. Now, put us out there performing activities that will stimulate our biceps so that we can see that growth. That never happened. I wonder if there was a time in which schools legit did have good programs, and it's just one of those things that, just like home ec, it was just cut. I thought I would share that with you. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you are a woman and you can do a pull-up, or if you are a woman but used to be able to do them. When were you able to achieve it? And how did you build up to it? Or could you just somehow naturally do it? And if you're a guy, I guess you could also express what your journey was with pull-ups. But I just feel a little down that I began working on my development way later in life. And I think that maybe now I am awakening muscles that naturally atrophied because I never got to activate them. It's just one of those things that makes me sad because, again, it makes me feel like my environment was not conducive to my progress. But not even in high school was the class decent. I had more fun in high school PE classes, but it was primarily because they just threw you at the gym, and if you're able to claim a basketball, you can do whatever you wanted. Yep. That'll always be my sadness. Where would I be at had I been invested athletically?